Frang, standing on the bridge of his Ixiart cruiser, listened intently as his subordinate officers relayed critical information. "Frang, we've offloaded 65% of the cargo," reported one officer, his voice steady despite the urgency of the situation. "Fromp has alerted us to the incoming threat of 2 Prozinuthian battle cruisers." Frang's eyes narrowed in determination as he processed the situation. "Continue transferring the payload," he commanded, his voice resolute. "We'll maximize our gains and disable their engines with booby traps. Ensure the safety of the Prozinuthian crew, but leave them locked up in one of the empty cargo bays. Time is of the essence." With swift efficiency, Frang's orders were carried out as the Ixiart cruiser made preparations to evade the approaching threat. As the Ixiart cruiser raced against the ticking clock, Frang monitored the progress of his troops with unwavering focus. "Prepare the booby traps in engineering," he instructed, his voice cutting through the tension on the bridge. "Disable all navigational controls and helm systems. We leave nothing to chance." His officers responded with practiced efficiency, swiftly carrying out their orders. "Booby traps set," reported Wompt, his subordinate officer, his voice tinged with urgency. "Engines at maximum capacity. We're ready to execute the plan." With a nod of approval, Frang observed as his crew worked in harmony, their actions a testament to their training and discipline. As the final preparations fell into place, Frang surveyed the scene before him with a sense of satisfaction. "Initiate the jettison of excess fuel from the Prozinuthian cargo vessel," he commanded, his voice steady despite the thoughts coursing through his mind. "We leave it very difficult for the Prozinuthians to salvage." With each passing moment, the Ixiart cruiser edged closer to freedom, its escape assured by the meticulous planning of its crew. With a final glance at the monitors displaying the Prozinuthian battle cruisers rapidly approaching, Frang knew their window of opportunity was closing fast. "Prepare for hyperspace jump," he declared, his voice echoing with resolve. "We leave this confrontation behind us." And with that, the Ixiart cruiser vanished into the depths of space, leaving the Prozinuthian Empire in its wake as it charted a course for safer horizons. As their battle cruiser continued its journey out of Prozinuthian-controlled space, Frang found Wompt questioning his orders now that they were out of earshot from the rest of the crew. "Why did we not just destroy the ship and kill the crew?" Frang understood Wompt being part of the Ixiart militia, was not a member of the Ixiart elite who had taken the rigorous human marine training on Mars. Frang also answered him verbally, as he did not want anyone else to pick up on any mental messaging between the both of them. "This is guerrilla warfare, and a war of attrition. It has to be conducted a certain way for it to be effective. The materials we took are vital for the Prozinuthian production of titanium, which is vital for the development and maintenance of the Prozinuthian fleet." Wompt replied with genuine curiosity. "The cargo I understand, but not destroying the ship and letting the crew live isn't logical to me." Frang began to explain with a nod of understanding how these human tactics work. "It is better to maim your enemy, especially one that has a huge need of maintaining its vital infrastructure. If you destroy the ship and kill the crew, they will only report it and maybe salvage what they can from whatever is left. If you disable the cargo vessels and leave the crew alive, they will spend far more resources to salvage the ship and rescue the crew. This means more of their battle cruisers must stay with the disabled ship to defend it while the rescue ships arrive for the crew. They must bring extra fuel and materials to get their cargo vessel moving, since it still has over 30% of the original cargo they desperately need." Wompt scratched his head in understanding, but still gave a look of confusion as he pressed more questions. "Why the booby traps? And if we were not going to kill the crew, why not maim them so they can no longer crew their ships?" Frang gave a thin smile as he continued to lecture his subordinate officer. "They will bring vital engineers to repair the computer systems and engines. They are our primary targets. That is why we booby-trapped those key sections they will be working on. they will lose some of those vital skilled workers. Also, far more civilian Prozinuthians who work these cargo vessels will be more incentivized not to fight us if they know we don't harm any of them in the lootings. Wompt admitted he understood more of the tactics as he replied, "Well, your plan worked perfectly for now. If only we could be certain it worked." Frang gave his subordinate a sly look as he continued his lecture. "What makes you think that was the limit of my plan? If the Prozinuthians are bold enough, they may make the mistake of sending their rescue ships ahead of their military escorts in hopes to save time. If that happens, we can strike the rescue ships quickly and repeat the process, making it an even more costly effort for the Prozinuthian Empire. This is what Vromp's mission is currently. His ship and crew are scanning the sector we just left from a hiding spot in a nearby asteroid field. If our enemy is not cautious, we strike, wound them, and melt away. In short, we bleed them over a period until they are too frail to pose a sizable threat." Wompt, with a new understanding and appreciation of Frang's strategy, left Frang's command office and returned to the helm to assure the crew was executing Frang's orders accordingly. A while later, Wompt returned to Frang's office with an updated report. "Sir, Vromp reported the Prozinuthian rescue ship was escorted by a third Prozinuthian battlecruiser. He will remain in the shadows of the asteroids until he has a window to fall back to Uimi 2. Frang thanked him for the report and ordered them to continue at top possible speed to Uimi 2. Once they arrived at Uimi, Frang left the ship in the hands of the Ixiart militia to unload their spoils. He headed straight to report to General Ktung, the Uimi 2 outpost commanding officer. Frang entered the general's office to find he was entertaining a human guest. General Ktung greeted Frang as he introduced their guest. "Captain Frang, this is Alliance Special Agent Patricia Martinez. She is here on a special visit as the Alliance wants to see how much we have progressed our outpost here on the outer edge of Prozinuthian-controlled space." Patricia replied with a faint smile. "Officially, this is still neutral space, and the Alliance just sent me to be sightseeing." General Ktong replied with a tone of understanding. "Of course, that is the official stance of your visit. Please let me not delay you from your sightseeing. I leave you in good hands with Captain Frang. Also, Captain Frang, you can come back later and tell me all about the sightseeing you and your crew were doing." With a nod of understanding, Frang gestured Agent Martinez to the door. Agent Martinez nodded, taking in the organized chaos of the command center. "Impressive," she remarked, her eyes scanning the room. "Your coordination and efficiency are commendable." Frang nodded in appreciation, pride evident in his demeanor. "We've honed our tactics through years of conflict," he replied, "but there's still much work to be done if we're to achieve our ultimate goal of liberating our people from Prozinuthian oppression. That is why the free tribes are working together here. Each tribe's soldiers are composed mostly of Ixiart militia that were trained by the Ixiart elite." Agent Martinez questioned intently. "Ixiart elite?" Frang proudly responded, "Each tribe was given an equal number of Ixiart enrollments to the Mars Space Marines training camp. Our chieftains agreed we were to compose the newly created Special Forces units called the Elites. Some units were assigned frontline duty as this. Others of those units were assigned the mission of creating a shorter, simpler version of our training back on our home worlds to fill our numbers up quicker with trained militia. For every elite we have on this outpost, there are 10 militia members in both combat and support roles. In short, we adapt, overcome, and we improvise to survive. The bulk of the soldiers here are from the 3 major free tribes, the Diovla, the Gostor, and the Rikok tribe." Agent Martinez nodded with approval as she remarked, "Most impressive." After the tour, Frang and Agent Martinez convened with General Tung for a strategy session. "We've received reports of increased Prozinuthian activity near our borders," General Tung began, his voice grave. It's imperative that we remain vigilant and prepared for any potential incursions. Frang nodded in agreement, his expression serious. We'll need to bolster our defenses and expand our intelligence-gathering efforts, he said, his mind already racing with potential strategies. Agent Martinez listened intently, her eyes focused on the holographic map displayed before them. We'll coordinate with Alliance intelligence to gather intel on Prozinuthian movements, she suggested, her tone determined, and we'll deploy reconnaissance teams to monitor their activity along the border. General Ktung and Frang exchanged nods, acknowledging the importance of their joint efforts. We must stay one step ahead of the Prozinuthians, General Ktung declared, determination evident in his voice. Our survival depends on it. And with renewed resolve, they began to formulate their plan of action, united in their mission to protect their people and thwart the encroaching threat of the Prozinuthian Empire. Several weeks later, Frang entered General Ktung's office, noticing the seriousness etched on the general's face. You wanted to see me, sir? Frang inquired, taking a seat across from Ktung's desk. General Ktung nodded solemnly. Yes, Frang, I have a critical mission for you, he began, his voice grave. We've received intelligence indicating that a Prozinuthian light battleship is carrying a device known as the Paradox Cipher, a crucial tool for decrypting their military transmissions. We need to obtain this device at all costs. Frang's brow furrowed in concentration as he processed the information. And what are our orders, sir? He asked, his tone focused. General Ktung's expression hardened. You and your squad must board the battleship, secure the Paradox Cipher, and then destroy the ship, he replied, his voice unwavering. It's imperative that we make it appear as though the ship's destruction was an accident to avoid drawing suspicion from the Prozinuthians. Days later, Frang gathered his squad of elite Ixiarts in a secluded briefing room, their faces reflecting a mix of determination and apprehension. We've been tasked with a highly dangerous mission, Frang began, addressing the group. Our objective is to infiltrate a Prozinuthian light battleship, seize the Paradox Cipher, and then ensure the ship's destruction while making it look like an accident. The squad members exchanged wary glances, fully aware of the risks involved. We'll need to plan our approach carefully and coordinate our actions with precision, Frang continued, his voice steady. Stealth will be paramount. We must avoid detection at all costs. The squad nodded in agreement, each member steeling themselves for the daunting task ahead. Remember, Frang concluded, his gaze sweeping over the group, the success of this mission depends on each of us working together as a cohesive unit. Failure is not an option. Each elite here is battle-tested and has commanded militia troops. I did not select each of you lightly. This mission comes from the top. Let's not let our people down. And with their resolve hardened, they began to strategize their approach, knowing that the fate of their people rested on their shoulders.